Hello and welcome to the Big Dumb Networking Dude channel.
I'm back.
Or maybe not. Honestly, I don't know if this means I'm going to be posting any more frequently because as I've mentioned to you guys before, I really do suck at coming up with topics and things to post on. But right now I am working on a project where I'm essentially using secure firewall virtuals and multi-clouds for a kind of an SD-WAN-ish fabric. So as part of that, I figured, hey, why don't I make a video real quick on how to deploy a FTDv secure firewall virtual in AWS since I already had one in Azure. So gonna knock that out really quickly, and then hopefully I might have maybe 1-2 more videos coming in a rapid fashion, kind of one again along the lines of that fabric, and then maybe another one on some observability of those tunnels. But without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into this configuration. When spinning up a virtual firewall in AWS, honestly, it's a bit different than spinning up in Azure. If you've watched my previous videos on how to do that, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. I do think Azure actually has a little bit more streamlined process, but it's not that bad getting it going in AWS. So if we look here real quickly, we can kind of see the end-to-end procedure on how to get this deployed. As part of this video, I'm going to assume you already know how to basically do everything till 8. I'll explain some of the stuff that you need to make sure that you have that kind of I create within my own AWS tenant to get this deployed successfully. But I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty on some of these on how or why we have that. I'm just going to assume you already have that precursor of knowledge. But, you know, if you don't and you want a video like that, I guess I could make one with a little bit more detail. But without further ado, so first things first, VPC, let's just go ahead and check on that real quick. So I'm going to be deploying this in Oregon. I already have one deployed in Ohio. This is all going to be part of a bigger picture, kind of multi-cloud SD-WAN thing that I'm going to have going on that I'll make some videos on. But so we'll go over to VPC. We can see I have one VPC here called landing zone. And then you can kind of see with this resource map here, I do have 4 subnets. I have a management subnet, I have an outside subnet, I have a diagnostic subnet, and I have an inside subnet. Because when you deploy this FTDv in AWS here, you do need to make sure you have 4 interfaces connect to them, management diag, and then outside and inside, and then I have a corresponding subnet going to each. I also have for the management subnet and the outside subnet, I do have a route table for each one of them. They each have a default route pointing to the internet gateway, so I can have internet connectivity there. So as you can see, I do have the internet gateway here, and then these have a default route table associated to them. I'm not really worried about them as part of this deployment process. So we have that. Let's see. And like I said, as I've seen the subnets, so we got all of our subnets deployed. You know, if you want to create a subnet, it's very easy to do. Security groups. I have 2 security groups right now. I basically have my FTDv management security group, which will be applied to the interface that is going to be doing the management. So also like my my Azure videos, I had a site-to-site VPN going into Azure, and I connected to FDM via the private IP. I don't really want to do that, so I'm going to be using the public IP, and I have like my house's public IP whitelisted here so that I can get that via HTTPS SSH, and then you will also need to allow inbound 8305, which is that SF tunnel that would be needed to be used if you're using something like Cisco Security Cloud Control, FMC. So I'm using the CD FMC on SCC. Wow, what a mouthful there. But that's what I'm going to be using to manage this. I'm not going to be managing it locally, but if you want to do that, you are more than welcome. So let's just pop over here. So we do have our VPC, we have our internet gateway, we have our subnets, we have our route tables, we have our security groups. This is a big one here, is you have to pre-create the network interfaces. I mean, I guess you technically don't have to. You could add a new one each time, but I did it ahead of time. So let's go back over here. We'll go to network interfaces, and I will actually create one more here. I only have 3. So as you can see, I have my outside, my inside, and diagnostics. I will create my management one. So we'll just call that MGMT interface FTDv. We associate with our subnet, so this is going to be with the management subnet. I need to attach the management security group to here, and then just so I don't have to go back and rename it, I'll add a name tag. And create network interface. Also, as part of the recommendations and the instructions here that Cisco provides, you also want to go into your interfaces and uncheck the source and destination. So we got our network interfaces. Now let's create some elastic IPs to go along with that. Let's go elastic IPs, and we're going to want one on the management and then the outside interface. So we'll go allocate. That's fine. Yep. We'll go allocate that. I'll give this a name. This will be my FTDv MGMT pip. We'll save that. I'll create one more. And we will call this FTDv outside pip. Save that. Now let's go back to my elastic IPs, and then let's associate these. So what one's this outside? So I'm going to associate this. I like to do it by network interface, so I'm going to associate to the outside interface and associate, and then do the same thing with the management. So associate by network interface, management, and then boom, associate that. Cool. So now we're basically down to just deploying the FTDv, and we will go into that next. So let's pop back over to AWS. We're going to want to go to the marketplace, and you can see I actually already have this deployed as kind of like a subscription because I'm using the bring your own license image. I have licenses that I can point these to within my smart account with Cisco, so I don't need to use the pay-as-you-go, but the pay-as-you-go is definitely an option. So if you didn't already have this set up, we could start searching for secure firewall. Let's do Cisco secure firewall threat defense virtual, and then we're going to bring your own license. And basically you're going to kind of look through all this, the disclaimers, the legal stuff, the version, all that good things. And then because I've already done this, then you go to view purchase options, and then it's going to say basically like start subscription. But because you have a bring your own license, you're not actually paying any subscription costs as if you were to do the pay as you go. You're just paying the infrastructure costs that are associated with AWS. So since I've already done that piece, I'm going to go back to manage subscriptions. I'm going to launch this. I'm going to say, and again, they give you different options to deploy this. I'm going to just show you how to do it like the EC2 route. I'm going to do the launch from EC2 console because it gives you way more granular and full control over how we're going to configure this. The one-click launch from AWS Marketplace is nice, but it's a little too cookie cutter for my liking. So let's go. Where are we at? We're in Oregon. And then I'm going to say launch. And let's give this a name. So I'll call it FTDv AWS. And this is in West 2. And then we're going to go ahead and leave the instance type right here. I think this is the smallest instance we can kind of get going in AWS. Key pair. Yeah, I better create a new key here. So I always do ED 25519, and then I will do, I'll just call it AWS FTDv West 2 key. Create that. All right, that downloaded. Cool. All right. And then we have our, get out of here. Bro, get out of here. Why is this not going away? Whatever, it can stay. It can stay for now. So here we got to configure our network settings, and this is probably arguably the most important step that you really got to pay attention to in the entire deployment process. So we're going to edit. I'm going to give it its default subnet is going to actually be the management subnet. I'm going to select existing security group, but I'm not going to actually select a security group. Advanced network configuration, and then so we need to start off with, because these do need to be in order, so the first one is our management, and that is going to be conducive of what we selected up here. It's the only option, so I'm going to select that. Nothing else needs to be selected. I'm going to say add another interface. This one is going to be diag, and as soon as we select this, subnet is going to throw an error. That's fine. We just get rid of the subnet because that's already defined within the already pre-created interface, which is also why we don't select the security group and stuff like that. So make sure that was diag, yep. And then add another interface. This one is going to be outside. Outside, we'll clear this again. And then our last interface is going to be inside. And again, we will clear this. The last thing you need to do, or is an option to do, I should say. So let's go back to the documentation here. If you want to, if you have an FMC you want to integrate this with, where's that? There we go. Or if you want to ensure you have maybe to manage locally, sometimes I like to just do that in order to make sure things are up and running, and then I just onboard it with to SCC through the command line. So for this one, just so I can show you that it does come up and run, I'm going to grab this snippet, and I'm going to put it in this field here. Host name. We'll just say, what do I call this? Wasn't like FTDv AWS West 2. And then password. Let me see if I got any good passwords in a notepad over here that I can just copy and paste. Yeah, we'll just do this. We'll grab this and we'll just make up a password real quick. Obviously, this is not what it's going to be when I publish this, so you nerds out there can't get a hold of it, but that's all we got to do. All right, so this right here is going to set our admin password, the host name that we want to manage it locally through FDM, so we can, you know, make sure that this actually came all up. And other than that, we are good to go, and we'll just hit launch instance. Takes about, you know, 5-6 minutes for everything to come online, and once it is ready to go, we will make sure we can get connectivity to it. The deployment is now complete. We are up and running. Let's make sure we can actually hit our management IP, public IP, to get to the FDM GUI if everything worked out correctly. Nice. That is a good sign. And it is a little slow here. Some of that does have to do, my Ohio one was super quick because I am in Michigan, so Oregon, bit further away, but I can't complain too much. Let me grab that password that we added to it. Make sure we can get in. Sweet. So here we are. We've got it up and running. It is deployed in AWS. And honestly, the underlying plumbing and the whole kind of the same architecture and thought process that I did in my Azure video is fundamentally kind of the same here for AWS to get traffic in and out. But I'm going to, like I said a little bit earlier, I am going to be using this as part of a multi-cloud SD-WAN edge device. So I will have some videos on that shortly. But I think that just about wraps this all up. I'm not going to go through the initial configuration here. Like I said, I'm going to be onboarding in this to SEC in a couple minutes, so no need to get it fully configured. And that's a wrap on that. Really quick video, pretty straightforward. Getting a secure firewall virtual FTDv spun up in AWS, and as I mentioned, I hope to have some rapid fire content here. Kind of regarding the cloud, multiple connectivity methods, and then some observability tied into that. So more to come. Hopefully, within the next week or so, you'll see another video pop up. But in the meantime, while you guys are just anxiously waiting for that to happen, just go ahead and stay classy and keep labbing.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!